Hello, bruv. We're back with book plates of today, edited by Wilbur, Macey Stone. Nearly finished with this book. It's not a very long book, and instead of having 7 books going simultaneously, I probably should finish these. Book plates of today, Tennell and Company. What does everyone say that? William A. Boland, 1901. It's a nice one. Very nice. A checklist of the work of 23 bookplate designers of prominence. It was thought, compiled by Wilbur Macey Stone, it was thought that interest and value would be added to this book by the inclusion of lists of the bookplates made by the more prominent artists whose work is reproduced here. These lists are the nearest complete of any that have ever been published, and as they have been verified in many instances by the artists themselves, and in others carefully collated from the actual bookplates, they may be relied upon as highly accurate. The sundry notes, bibliographical and otherwise, by which the individual lists are prefaced, are in no way exhaustive, but just a cursory gathering to relieve the bareness of the lists and to give some little additional assistance to the amateur. The lists are arranged alphabetically under the artist names as follows. I'm not going to read them because I'm going to read the names themselves and their bios. William Phillips Barrett. In Great Britain, every family of rank has its arms suitably emblazoned on its harnesses, carriages, table plate, dining chairs, and of course, in its library. When a new coach is ordered or a new set of harnesses, the coach builder or the harness maker furnish the proper trimmings. So, my lord's stationer fixes up the family letter paper and the family bookplate. Somebody has to lick into some semblance of artistic unity the records of prowess of our medieval ancestors. In the workshops of Messrs. Bumpus Limited, Mr. William Phillips Barrett performs this more or less genial task. He has signed some 90 to 100 designs which were cut by the workmen in the Bumpus establishment. Mr. Barrett's designs are not wholly without merit, but they so apparently lack the spark of vitality, and their execution is in many cases so hard and mechanical that one is inclined more to pity than to praise. In the pages of the London Ex Libris Journal, that industrious encourager of the ordinary and banal in bookplate design, Mr. Barrett's work is exploited at length. Not reading those. Robert Anning Bell. Robert Anning Bell, director of the Art School of the Liverpool University, is the most prolific designer of artistic picture plates in Great Britain. His work has long been the envy of amateurs, and no collection can claim to be representative without some examples of his work. His bookplates have been reproduced and commented on in almost all published articles on the general subject. The bookplate number of the studio Simpson's Book of Bookplates, Bowdoin's Rise of the Bookplate, Zur Western's Ex Libris, Leipzig, 1901, all show examples. His work is characterized by dignity and grace, is in good drawing, and has an average of excellence unsurpassed. The list is complete to July 1st, 1902. D.Y. Cameron is one of the most prominent artists in the so-called Glasgow School of Designers. His plates are nearly all etchings and are decidedly his own in subjects and treatment. They are most excellent productions. His work has been most fully exploited in Simpson's Book of Bookplates, Volume 1, Number 4. There are 11 designs listed in Fincham. And the studio bookplate number reproduces 4. Thomas Maitland Cleland. Mr. Cleland is a young man who has an innate appreciation for decorative effect and, what is more to the purpose, an ability to apply it. For some years past, his skill in typographic arrangement has added much to the products of several of our more advanced publishers. By more advanced, I mean those with the knowledge and belief that it is good business to offer to the public books that delight the eye as well as the mind. Mr. Cleland has done many decorative bits by way of head and tail pieces and initials. There are also, to his credit, a baker's dozen of bookplates. These last are intensely decorative, and to class them as pictorial really does them injustice. They are thoroughly conventional and quite medieval in feeling. Gordon Craig. The page has been so much exploited in the public press that it seems supererogation. Never heard of that word. Supererogation to write anything more about it, or Gordon Craig, one the embodiment of the other. Mr. Craig is very much of an all-around young man, brought up in the atmosphere of the theater and books and pictures. He has dabbled in all to some purpose. He has a clear-cut individuality that differentiates him and his work. I was going to say, but perhaps play would be better, for Mr. Craig is one of those inconsequential chaps that seem to take things as they come and be chipper and happy and youthful-hearted with all. His bookplate work is of the meat axe variety and inspired by the rough woodcuts of the early engravers. His work has the air of the poser that is as balm to the heart of the dilettante. Okay. Julius Diaz. The work of Julius Diaz is rich with the flavor of medievalism and full decorative effect. The example shown in this book, the plate for Max Ostenrider, is a little masterpiece and an idea bookplate. Mr. Diaz has done others much more elaborate and with well-drawn and well-thought-out motifs, but none to excel the bit referred to. George Wharton Edwards. Mr. Edwards has made a large number of very excellent book cover designs and has decorated several volumes throughout. One of the most beautiful of the latter is Spencer's Epithalamion, published by Dodd, Mead and Company. Mr. Edwards has done a few other bookplates in addition to those listed here, but these are all he wishes to stand sponsor for. Fritz Erler has been one of the leading contributors to the prints of German art periodicals, Jugend, since its beginning. His bookplates are characterized by the same imaginative spirit and weirdness that appear in all his works. His work is often reproduced in soft tints with excellent effect. In the third volume of Jugend, there was a double page given to prints of Mr. Erler's bookplates. William Edgar Fisher. Mr. Fisher's work is fully described in the leading article in this book by Mr. Bowdoin. The list of plates is in chronological order and is complete to July 1st, 1902. Edwin Davis French. The bookplates of Edwin Davis French are the most esteemed of those of our present American engravers. His work is decidedly the vogue among those who can afford the best, and is much prized by collectors. There has really been an article on bookplates published in the past 5 years or more that has not contained a eulogy of his work, and there have been reproductions galore, both from the original coppers and by halftone. There is no American designer whose work is so eagerly sought by the collector, or for which larger returns are asked in exchanges. Mr. French usually designs the work he engraves, but in several instances he has cut plates from the designs of others. Such instances are noted in the list. Mr. French's work is characterized by daintiness of design and great beauty of execution. He is unquestionably a master of the graver and decorative work. In the following list, those numbered 133 and below are from Mr. Lemperley's well-known list, and credit is hereby rendered him therefore. The rest of the list is made up from various sources and has been carefully compared, and is believed to be accurate and complete, with the few exceptions noted to July 1st, 1902. Damn, this guy's got a lot of book plates. Bertram Goodhue, G. Goodhue. Bertram Grosvenor Goodhue is a Boston architect who has made several bookplates of merit. One made for a department of Harvard University is particularly rich in decorative effect, and the design of which one would not grow weary. Others of Mr. Goodhue's designs are treated in broad line and might have been reproduced very effectively by wood engraving. Harry E. Goodhue. The few bookplates designed by Harry E. Goodhue are mostly of the girl and book type. In the plate for Jessie McClellan, the young woman appears to be sorry she'd done it, or else is quite discouraged at the idea of lifting her folio romance into her lap. Mr. Goodhue's most pleasing design is that for Constance Alexander, shown on page 27. Let's take a look at it. If I don't ruin the book in the process. There's page 27. What are we looking for? Harry Goodhue. There's Harry. Is that Harry? That's Harry. Harry Goodhue. Girl and her books. Good job, Harry. T.B. Hapgood Jr. Mr. Hapgood is a decorative designer in Boston, and his work on the covers of various periodicals and catalogs is well known. Plate number 5 was submitted in competition and took second prize. It has never been reproduced. Number 1 was reproduced in the red letter, number 2 in the bookplate number of the studio, as was also number 4. Number 14 has not been reproduced. Number 15 was originally made as a printer's mark and was so used. It was later altered to serve as a bookplate. Harold E. Nelson. Many of the figures in the bookplates by Harold Nelson are of the attenuated pre-Raphaelite type, but there are others one can believe really once lived. The frontispiece to the bookplate number of the studio is a beautiful decorative bit by Mr. Nelson. It makes us quite willing to forgive him some of his more eccentric designs. The plate referred to is enhanced in beauty by a few lines of gold judiciously used. The musical plate on page 18 of this volume is a pleasing one. Edwin H. New. The bookplate designs by Mr. New are in a class by themselves. No one else has worked quite the field occupied by this artist. Mr. New has used architecture for the motifs of a series of usually pleasing plates. He has treated in a most decorative way whole buildings as well as details, doorways, and so forth. His plates are particularly adapted to dignified old houses that contain the libraries for which they were made. Mr. New has not limited himself to this field, as he has done a number of designs with no architectural suggestion. His work in both illustration and decoration is of a most delightful quality, and is well known to all lovers of black and white. A number of his bookplate designs were reproduced and commented upon in Simpson's Book of Bookplates, Volume 2, Number 1. The bookplate number of the studio also showed some of his designs. The list is in chronological order and complete. Henry Ospavat is a young Russian artist residing in London. He has done some superb decorative work for the sonnets and poems of Shakespeare published by John Lane. His bookplates are precious bits of decoration worthy the adoration of all lovers of the beautiful. There have been only a few reproductions of them. The bookplate number of the studio shows several, and Fincham's Artist and Engravers lists 2. Armand Rosenfoss is a resident of Liege, therefore presumably a Belgian and a subject of the German Empire. But as stone walls do not always a prison make, so frontiers do not always mark the nationality of art and letters. Mr. Rosenfoss is distinctly French in his feeling and artistic point of view. Perhaps I would rather say Parisian, for it is of the Latin quartier and the beaux arts that his work breathes. His designs are almost entirely of nude femininity, and his method of expression the etching. He has made some 8 or 10 charming bits full of life and chic. I was going to say frou-frou, but that would be a misnomer, for his models are innocent of gowns or lingerie. Frou-frou is a good word. Their spirit and beauty of execution is high, but as bookplate designs, well, it's a bit like champagne for breakfast. Lewis Reed, the illustrator of Pilgrim's Progress and the Idylls of the King, needs no introduction to the average book lover, and the hearts of the poster collectors throb at his name. Mr. Reed is an American of English birth and a resident of one of the suburbs of Greater Gotham. His decorative work has been long and favorably known, and his bookplates can but add to his reputation. He has done but 15, and 2 of these are yet to be reproduced, but some examples of his work are in most collections. Byam Shaw. The 1 or 2 bookplate designs by Mr. Shaw that have been published show a magnificent imaginative conception, and makes the lover of the beautiful ardently wish for more. The one for Isabel Hunter on page 216 of Volume 1 of the International Studio is at the head of its class. Mr. Shaw's other line drawings and his paintings have a richness and weirdness of design that is very attractive. Joseph W. Simpson. Mr. Simpson of Edinburgh is a young Scotchman of infinite ambition and generous talent. He is not only a clever designer of bookplates, but he has a magazine to exploit his schemes and theories of art. This is reputed to be a quarterly, but it is erratic, like its sponsor, and issues once in a while. Mr. Simpson's designs are full of feeling and rich in treatment. About 25 of these have seen the light and are prized by the lovers of modernity. Hans Thoma is a painter of national reputation in Germany, who has thought it not beneath his dignity to do bookplate designs. This by way of recreation or to strengthen his line for more pretentious efforts. His designs are along classic and dignified lines. His own personal plate is a weird one. On it is a nude youth bearing the torch of knowledge and riding a gruesome dragon. Sounds Illuminati-esque. Thomas Tryon. Mr. Tryon's work has been described at length in another part of this book, and a large part of his designs reproduced. Bernard Wenig is a comparatively newcomer in the field of bookplate design, but he has already established for himself an enviable reputation in Germany, and his work is meeting with a growing appreciation by collectors in this country. Mr. Wenig's general manner is that of the old engraved woodblock, bold and more or less crude of line, but full of virility. Most of his work is reproduced in black on white, but in a few instances he has used a color or 2 with good effect. His choice of subjects is varied, but the studious bookman of the Middle Ages seems to be uppermost in his heart and mind. Mr. Wenig has made one plate for a child, a small boy, that is among the best half-dozen of designs for children. And there's your closing page with, I don't know whose bookplate this is. Maybe we can, I don't know. What did that say? Did it say something on that page? No, it's just a ghost reproduction. And that is all for that book. Goodbye, Brav. Goodbye.